Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have an awesome guest. His name is Dr. Lonnie Luce, and he's the superintendent over at Charter Schools USA in beautiful Louisiana. And Lonnie, thank you for being with us today, man.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, what was your journey like to become the superintendent? That's a big position, a lot of responsibility, a lot of people looking up to you for your leadership and guidance. And what was your journey like?
Well, I started out teaching in an inner city school in Baton Rouge, moved up to an assistant principal, was doing that. I was there 6 years at that inner city school. From there, I went to LSU, and it was the time when we were moving correspondence courses online. So I was hired to kind of do that piece of it. Was into technology, went from there to become a director of technology at a district. I was at New Orleans as a CIO, and I got activated to go to Afghanistan. I was in the National Guard.
Hmm.
So when I got activated for that, I never worked outside of Louisiana, but I ended up going to Greenville, South Carolina for the best years of my life. I started out doing technology for a year and then was promoted to deputy superintendent. We had almost 70,000 students, and it was just a big, awesome thing. And from there, I was able to come back home after being a deputy superintendent. I came back home and was able to serve as a superintendent at that point.
That's awesome. And when you were K-12, was there anything that you struggled with emotionally or socially or mentally? Because I know when I was a kid, I got bullied a lot, and it just really exacerbated the ADD and OCD, and I had A through Z, so it was tough. Was there anything that you maybe struggled with when you were a kid?
Well, my father was a pastor, so I was kind of poor compared to being in a community that had a good bit of money at times.
Mm,
So there were some things I always felt like I was the underdog,
mm,
uh, and what I needed to do. But actually, I felt good about being the underdog and trying to do that. But that was a struggle to work through that of always feeling like you're not part of the community because you've moved in. Um, the other people have everything that you don't have. How do you work through that? But all the Bible stories my dad taught me with David and Goliath and all those things,
mhm.
I actually enjoyed sometimes working through that. So,
Yeah, beautiful. Love that. Love that. Yeah, David and Goliath, a lot of adversity, trust in the Lord, brought a slingshot and three rocks. Done.
yes.
And then, what have you noticed, Dr. Luce, that's working well to support your K through 12 students with their mental health? And then, what would you like to see more of maybe next school year to support them even more?
A couple of things we've done. Our company partnered with a group. I don't know if you've heard of Nick Vujicic. It's a guy that was born with no arms and no legs,
Mm.
and
Oh, yes, yes.
they wrote a program with our group. Attitude is altitude,
Mm,
and we really use that as kind of a character building, but it also just moves into that whole SEL realm, the social emotional learning. And we've done some of that has been a piece. Some of our people do leader and me.
mm,
Um, and we kind of do those two things are parts of what we do. Our promise, we've kind of revamped what we do as a company, and we've now our promise to parents and students is that students will have a strong mind and a good heart.
mm.
And that's part of what we're doing is making sure that wellness is across the whole thing. So not just our mind, but our heart is a good heart that we teach those different traits. And some of that you have to deal with the attitudes and the social emotional part in order to actually have a good heart.
Yeah, absolutely. No, amen to that. That's great. And then, is there anything on your heart that you're just thinking, why didn't Michael ask me this? I wanted to talk about this. So that would be.
I would just say one of the topics that we had our group go do a study, and we're doing a book study across our whole national network on a book called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been interesting to see the dramatic increase of mental health issues, especially for middle school girls. And we're going to change our policies on how we deal with with electronic things. How do people use cell phones in schools? Talking about and getting parents to understand the issues of social media at certain ages and how that works. Because his book really, when we saw some of the stats of what's happening with social emotional issues in our schools, we have to act. And that's the book study that we're using this year and going through that to try to help solve those issues in our communities.
I love it, love it. Dr. Luce, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your leadership and the many, many years you've been in the school system. So thanks for carving out some time for us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Take care.